Yo, 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 what's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman?
Hello, Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Fantastic.
Love it, love it, love it. You ready to smoke? I think I need to smoke. Like right now. I don't even want to waste.
No?
Fucking light that Chem Dog 4 up, will you?
We'll just get to it.
Let's go. I want to smoke. I've been dying to smoke all day.
Dog 4. Is this...
This is Uncle Milty. Uncle Milty strain.
Stuff?
I didn't mention his name a while back ago on the Chem Dog 4 and also the Green Crack, but our good friend Uncle Milty just throwing out there some weed for us. So
thanks, Uncle. I can't even say his name, and I'm not even stoned yet. Thanks, Uncle Milty.
Uncle Milty,
right,
our good friend, threw us some nice weed a few weeks back, and we've been smoking a lot of it. But this Chem Dog 4 is dope, so we decided to smoke Chem Dog 4. Green Crack, strong, goes right to my head, and so I wanted to smoke a little indica strain right here. So pass it by, Mrs. Weedman.
Go
Say
ahead.
hello to everybody out there in the wonderful world.
Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is gearing up. If you're in the U.S. and you celebrate Thanksgiving, which I think most people do, everyone's getting their grocery shopping done. Weather is changing in most places. It's getting cold. We raked up a shit ton of leaves.
Ugh.
There's so many.
Smells like fall, though.
It's beautiful.
It does. I love the smell of fall when those leaves are starting to change and you get that nice little just smell of just fall.
Hey, wait a minute. Wasn't the Peanuts
We missed it.
We missed it. How did we miss it?
Sunday night.
What day is today?
Today's Monday.
We totally had the TV on to sit down and watch it.
I know.
And right now, I realize we didn't watch it.
We missed it.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving. By the time you guys are hearing this, it could be close to Thanksgiving, or maybe you'll listen on Thanksgiving Day while you're getting high in your grandma's basement. Whatever.
One of the fun things I know that people do, especially when cousins get together, or just family members, they go for a little stroll before dinner, or they go for a little stroll after dinner, and a nice little walk, saying they're gonna digest the turkey a little bit.
Or they go to hang out in the garage or the basement.
And they smoke. So I'm looking forward to taking a little walk this year and smoking the joints I'm going to roll for Thanksgiving. Super excited. I love Thanksgiving. It's a great, great feast of food. So hopefully you celebrate kindly and give and be thankful for what you have, and all around the world.
And hopefully you have someone to share the day with. And hopefully you have food on your table. And if not, there are lots of resources out there. I know right now it's like grocery costs are insanely high. And being together is difficult for some people because of COVID and distance and all those things. So hopefully you can have a pleasant and warm Thanksgiving wherever you are.
Yes, wherever you are. And we did a Thanksgiving Day one year. We went and helped serve plates of food out for the community. That was fun. That was nice. I really enjoyed doing that. We need to do that again. So, but everybody out there in the world, just be thankful. We
in
love
European countries and like foreign countries, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. It's an American holiday. But is there some sort of equivalent, like
I think there
gathering,
is, but I don't know what it's called.
Like not a religious holiday?
No.
I don't know. Thanksgiving is like hands down my favorite because it's just a reason to get together and celebrate family and friends
and love.
So and love and
thanks
just
for
have a good meal.
Being alive.
There's no gifts. There's no it's just simple and it's good.
Yep.
So you could do it anytime. Make up your own holiday.
There you go.
Right?
Big fat bowl and a big fat turkey.
A drumstick in one hand and a joint in the other. And a big plate of mashed potatoes in the middle.
Well, we love you all out there, no matter what you celebrate or what you believe in. We love you all out there. So, ready to start the show?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Cannabis on the brain. Cannabis products are everywhere these days, and cannabis products are, as growing number of states loosen their medical and recreational cannabis laws. Millions of Americans are using cannabis plant to relax or treat pain, anxiety, insomnia, and other conditions. Yet more data is needed on its impact. The nation has warmed toward the use of cannabis, but policy continues to outpace the science, says neuroscience scientist Stacy Gerber, EDM 95 PhD, who's working to change that. Gruber, a Harvard Medical School associate professor of psychiatry, directs both the cognitive and clinical neuroimaging core and the cannabis investigations for neuroscientific discovery, MIND program at McLean Hospital. She and her team are using cognitive and clinical measures as well as neuroimaging techniques like functional MRI to help elucidate how cannabis affects the human brain. They have discovered, for example, that individuals who start heavy recreational cannabis use before the age of 16, when the brain is still developing, may perform more poorly in cognitive or behavioral tasks involving the frontal cortex, such as memory, attention, and judgment, than those who don't use cannabis or who started using it later in life. A recent paper the Gerber co-authored underscored these findings using results from a simulated driving test. Neuroimaging has also revealed changes in white matter, the neural fibers critical for the efficient communication among brain regions in the early onset cannabis users. Gerber is especially excited about her team's research on medical cannabis and its effects on cognitive brain structure, function, and quality of life. Almost no literature exists on long-term impact of medical cannabis, says Gerber, who launched the MIND program in late 2014 to address the gap. So many people are desperate to find anything that works to alleviate their symptoms. It would be fantastic to know what actually does and does not work for patients over time. Mind matters. Encouraging results have emerged from MIND's first investigation, a longitudinal observational study of individuals using medical cannabis for various conditions and symptoms. The team conducts multiple assessments before participants who chose their own products start treatment. Further testing happens at 3, 6, 12, 15, 18, and 24 months after the treatment begins. Even after a few months, patients perform better on cognitive tasks requiring executive functions. Rather than getting worse, they're actually getting better, Gerber says. Ha! This contrasts with poor cognitive performance seen among some heavy recreational cannabis users relative to non-user patients in this pioneering study have also reported improved mood, energy, and sleep, and reduced use of conventional medications. I love it. What explains these improvements? Gerber says patients may be thinking more clearly because their symptoms are alleviated or because they are using less conventional medications such as opioids. In addition, medical cannabis patients tend to be older than recreational users, and she says there's some preclinical data suggesting that cannabis may help boost the body's aging endocannabinoid system. Yes, I love it. A natural system that helps regulate key functions such as sleep, mood, appetite, and memory. The MIND program is also conducting medical cannabis research studies involving veterans, women with menstrual and menopause-related problems, and chronic pain sufferers. In addition, Gerber's lab has launched the nation's first clinical trial to compare the effectiveness of two different formulations that include CBD, a non-intoxicating component of cannabis, for treating anxiety. Patients will receive either a full-spectrum product that is high in CBD and contains other cannabinoids and terpenoids, a single extracted compound from CBD from the same source, or a placebo. I'd hate to be the one to get the placebo. Gerber wants to know whether the full-spectrum version will work better to reduce anxiety, which affects millions of Americans. The project has received a small grant from the larger $4.5 million gift to HMS from Harvard alums Charles R. Broderick, AM05, to fuel cannabis-related discovery. The humbling work. Gerber, 20-plus year quest to understand how cannabis affects the brain, began with the life-altering college summer internship in McLean, located in Belmont, Massachusetts. I fell in love with the clinical trials of neuropsych assessment and testing and thought, I can imagine doing anything more excited than this, she recalls. She remained at McLean and collaborated with McLean researchers throughout her college, graduate, and postgraduate years, and then joined the faculty. Gerber says she is honored and humbled to work with the dedicated patient volunteers in her studies. And if we're doing something that helps improve the quality of life for any patient group, we've changed the world. Great article. They still say today that if you're under like 24 or 23 years old, your brain is still developing. And I don't think it's just cannabis in general. Alcohol, they say it with opioids. They say it with just a lot of other drugs in general, that your brain is still developing until you're like 24 years old. So things can hurt your brain in that development. I've been smoking cannabis since I was 13. My brain ain't fucked up. But just think about it. So, don't use it. Don't become a heavy user at a young age. So I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to tell you what to do. It's your choice, but just think about it. We use some skincare products, don't we, Mrs. Weedman, with some hemp in it?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that you researched about skincare and cannabinoids?
Yeah, we actually have been using for maybe a little over a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know. The time goes by or whatever. But it's a hemp stem cell skincare line. And so it touts all of these benefits of having CBD and hemp stem cells that help replenish and rejuvenate your skin. It's not like an age-related skincare line. It's just this, it touts itself as being botanical and natural. I like it. I don't know that
it's very nice.
Anything has changed. We also are like midlife, so we're on the downside of pretty skin.
I got pretty skin.
We're doing all right. It takes a little more work these days, We're trying to keep the wrinkles at bay. So I didn't see any miracles happen with this stuff, but it is nice. So anyway, I've got an article here. Can cannabinoids help your skincare regimen? Well, phytocannabinoids are compounds produced by the cannabis plant, and more than 110 different types of cannabinoids have been identified. You may have heard of the ones like THC, which has psychoactive effects, or CBD, its non-psychoactive counterpart that may help relieve pain and inflammation. But there are many more that are starting to be studied. Some of these compounds may have health and wellness benefits, and others may prove to be powerful in skincare. Cannabidiol, CBG, and cannabinol, CBN, are among them. While each cannabinoid brings particular benefits, companies are now offering products with combos of them. The intention of combining cannabinoids is to provide each of their benefits in a synergistic manner, says Julius Few, MD, a plastic surgeon in Chicago and founder of Afore Beauty. This even has a name, the entourage effect, the enhanced advantages that come from two or more of the plant's compounds working together. I thought I had this figured out. This word is so hard for me. Hang on, I've got my grammar pronunciation thing. Cannabidiol, CBD, cannabidiol. There we go. Is often tapped for potential anti-inflammatory benefits and its potent blend of antioxidants, which are responsible for fighting free radicals. And because cannabinoids have nourishing, soothing properties, CBD can also help in repairing the skin's barrier. If the barrier is impaired, the result could be irritation and a full-on breakout, so you have to be careful. Cannabigerol, CBG, is in the industry is known as the stem cell of cannabinoids, says Sarah Mersini, founder of cannabinoid-infused skincare brand Mask. Because it's the very first compound that is created in the plant, even before THC, she notes that there are fewer studies on it, but early research suggests antibacterial and moisture retention properties. Cannabinol, CBN, like CBD, CBN apparently binds to receptors that calm inflammation. Ava Shamban, MD, a dermatologist in Beverly Hills, explains, it may also reduce blemishes, balance sebum production, and assist with cell turnover. Mersini adds that CBN is gaining traction in psoriasis treatment, too. So here's a few products that they suggested. The first one is Untamed Humans. They have a topical
I'm an untamed human.
How about it? I know you are. They have a topical and ingestible CBD and CBG oil. The oil can be used topically to moisturize, combat acne, and soothe irritation, or ingested for stress reduction. Packs of 1,000 milligrams of CBD and 500 milligrams of CBG for a boost.
Which one was that one? You said something about acne on that. What product was that?
That's Untamed Humans.
I woke up with a little zit on my nose this morning. I could use some of that.
Yeah, it's like smack dab in the middle of your face.
No, it's freaking awful.
I'm going to go buy you some. Then we've got Lumi Bloom. Lumi Bloom, one word, CBD hand sanitizer spray. Spritz your way to cleaner, happier hands with this nourishing blend of CBD and CBG that can help nix bad germs without stripping your skin. And we have Kush Queen Relieve 1000 milligram CBD nourishing bath bomb. It's a calming combination of CBD, CBG, and CBN, plus essential oils, making for a satisfying soak that soothes sore muscles and leaves skin silky smooth.
Ooh, silky
Lots
smooth.
of S's. And Mask. So we just talked about the CEO of Mask in this article. Mask Ageless CBD anti-aging sheet mask. The entire mask collection utilizes all 3 cannabinoids, and it's laced with kakadu plum, and pumpkin seed extracts. Now I want to know what kakadu plum does. And it helps combat fine lines and dull skin. Oh, I need some kakadu plum. Kakadu plum. Is that a animal? Cockadoo? Cockadoodle doo. That's a rooster. Wasn't I cockadoodle doing last week?
Yes, you were.
Well, anyway, there's a few to start off with, and the products we use are, the brand is Andalou, and it's their CannaSugar skincare or something like that.
It's pretty good.
It's green and white packaging. It's like at your neighborhood health food store.
Yeah.
So anyway, give them a try.
Yeah.
See if they work. That's it.
This damn zit on my nose. I need some of that shit right now.
Get some witch hazel. Oh, how about some CBD balm? We have balm.
Yeah, we do. I'm going to have to try that tonight. You ever wonder why cannabis smells the way it smells and gets that pungent smell?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because it lights us up every time we smell it. I mean, it's like, oh, what's that?
I mean, everybody smells. It's such a
pungent, beautiful smell.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. Mm-hmm. Except for your mom. She doesn't like the smell of cannabis.
There's a lot of people who don't like it.
Shame.
I think it's like cilantro. You
Shame.
like it or you don't.
Shame.
Or you love it.
So in this article, they talk about the mystery of the cannabis pungent smell. A new study is offering one of the most comprehensive investigations ever conducted into the chemical origins of cannabis's unique skunky-like smell. The study reveals an entirely new family of sulfur compounds accounts for the novel odor, and these molecules are chemically similar to aroma compounds found in garlic. I did not know that. While plenty of current cannabis researchers focusing on understanding the effects of cannabinoids such as THC or CBD, there are plenty of other molecules in the deeply complex plant. Remember that it's a plant. The new research focused specifically on understanding the chemical source of cannabis' unique pungent aroma. Hundreds of different aroma compounds can be found in cannabis. Many of these belong to a class of compounds known as terpenes, which are reasonably for many characteristic plant smells like pine or lavender. Or experimental cannabis breeders often play with the different terpene concentrations to develop hybrid strains with unique scents. It has been previously hypothesized that terpenes are responsible for the iconic stink of cannabis. But difficulties analyzing all the potential aroma compounds in this plant have limited robust study. The research explains in their newly published study, we employed a custom-built comprehensive two-dimensional gas chromatography 2DGC system with 3 detectors operating simultaneously. Wow, sounds like a lot. A time-of-flight mass spectrometer, TOF-MS, flame ionization detector, FID, and sulfur, this word is chemiluminescence detector, SCD. Jesus. The new research focused particularly on molecules known as volatile sulfur compounds, VSCs. These sulfur-containing organic compounds are strongly linked to other pungent plant odors such as hops and garlic. The iconic spray from skunks is also known to contain a number of potent VSCs. So considering the pungent aroma of cannabis is informally referred to as skunk, it seemed reasonable to home in on that VSCs in the plant could be linked with this highly specific smell. The combination of multiple detectors in tandem with 2DGC to analyze cannabis gave us the tools needed to parse through data and identify trends between certain compounds and the aromas of various cannabis cultivars, explains lead author of the new study, Ian Oswald. Our data conclusively establishes a link between this new family of VSCs and cannabis and its pungent aroma. The new study details several VSCs that have never been identified before in nature. Analyzing some especially pungent strains of cannabis revealed direct links between higher concentrations of VSCs and skunk-like scents. They've suspected for years now that they're missing something in their understanding of this plant, says another co-author of the study, Joseph Del Rosso. Although terpenes have been hailed as the major source of pungent scent of cannabis, we now know that is the new classes of VSCs. And there's a whole chart in here that they show the VSCs of cannabis and the VSCs of garlic. One interesting finding is a study was how chemically similar these newly discovered cannabis VSCs are compared to some VSCs found in garlic. Prior research has linked some health benefits seen in garlic to these specific VSCs, so it's compelling to hypothesize that there are maybe potential medical benefits in these newly discovered cannabis VSCs. The research demonstrates that despite the VSCs being very volatile, if processed correctly, they can remain highly present in some extracts. And analyzing some cannabis extracts revealed VSCs can be still found in these formulations in a variety of concentrations. Another aspect of study measured VSC concentrations across the plant's growth cycle and following harvesting. The highest levels of VSCs are detected at the end of the plant's growth cycle, with a peak at the end of an 11-day curing process after harvest. Importantly, levels of VSCs quickly start to drop as the cured plant was stored. 10 days after curing, levels of the VSCs have significantly dropped. Kevin Colby, another researcher on the project, says these findings offer producers valuable insights if they are looking to maximize VSC content in future cannabis products. These results prove that cannabis producers are racing against time when it comes to getting quality products into customers' hands, says Colby. Think about that, everyone. I grow home grow, and my plants, even after 10 days, start losing a little bit of that VSC, but the pungent smell, because of how we grow it here in the house, and I know what's in it, it's not sitting for months at the cultivator before they could ship it to the dispensaries. I'm smoking that, I start smoking it like right when I trim it and put it in my jars, but it gets better as the time cures and it gets better as the weeks go along. But notice that, like, you might be getting weed that might be sitting for 6 months, so you're not getting that smell that you would hope for. So hopefully our results will establish a new standard for cultivators and distributors to help preserve and protect these key compounds, regardless of rigors of processing, packaging, and time on shelf. The study cumulatively offers strong evidence of the chemical origins behind cannabis, uniquely pungent odor. It also points to compelling new research pathways and the possible medicinal benefits of the newly discovered compounds. Pretty cool. I always wondered that, like that smell. And I'm glad I read that article, especially for like storing my cannabis and smoking my own and growing my own too. So it's kind of good article,
Mm-hmm.
Moms. There's a new word we learned. Kind of like it. What's the word?
CannaMom's.
CannaMom's. CannaMom what?
CannaMom's unite.
CannaMom what?
CannaMom's smoke weed.
CannaMom do what?
CannaMom's smoke weed. I don't know. What are you getting at?
I don't know. CannaMom what? With cannabis.
Oh, they parent. I mean, I guess I was figuring that's kind of like I don't need to explain that.
Basically, CannaMom can do anything.
You're not just saying you're a Canna. You're saying you're a CannaMom, so you already know you're a parent.
CannaMom.
I wasn't catching on. Well, anyway.
I believe CannaMoms can do anything.
CannaMoms rule the world.
Damn right they
Boom.
do.
So, article here about CannaMoms. Women are parenting with cannabis. An increasing number of mothers are using cannabis to help them parent. As they come out of the green closet, they're hoping to shift the stigma. A couple of years after California legalized cannabis for adult use, Danielle Simone Brand decided to try it. A journalist in the Pacific Northwest, Brand, who is now 42, found cannabis left her feeling better and more embodied, happier in my body and mind. Looking at legal cannabis as a wellness tool, she quickly learned how using the substance helped better her ability to parent her two children, now 8 and 11. Cannabis helps me in certain transitional moments, she says. I can more easily set aside my workday to-do list along with whatever challenges and frustrations I've experienced that day and get into the kind of headspace where I can patiently help with homework or make dinner with my daughter. Brand, the author of Weed Mom, the Canna Curious Women's Guide to Healthier Relaxation, Happier Parenting, and Chilling the Fuck Out. It just says TF. So it has to sit in bookstores, you know? So that sounds like a good book, though. So Brand is the author of that, and she says cannabis helped her slow down enough to linger with her kids at bedtime because she was so often in a hurry to get them to bed at a reasonable hour and have some restful time for herself. She said she was missing out on that time when her kids were keen to connect. That means she failed to hear important details about what they were learning, how they felt about school, and their relationships with friends. Brand says CannaMom's, like her, aren't a new phenomenon. She has seen mothers for years using cannabis to parent. As she wrote her book specifically for mainstream moms who didn't know much about cannabis, she found existing CannaMoms came out of the woodwork and said they needed a book that identified this as a movement and affirmed that we can be responsible parents and consume cannabis at the same time. There have been very small in-person online CannaMom groups for a long time, says Brand, but it's absolutely growing. The rolling action of U.S. state legalization and nationwide legalization in Canada has expanded cannabis access for adults. And although it's difficult to precisely quantify how many mothers are using cannabis, the expansion of online CannaMom communities suggests more moms are embracing cannabis use to help them manage life as a parent. The first-time researcher, Heather McIlvaine Newsad, became aware of CannaMom's around 2018 due to the emergence of Facebook groups devoted to the new social movement. An anthropology professor and co-founder of Western Illinois University's interdisciplinary minor in cannabis and culture, McIlvaine Newstad, noted some of the Facebook discussion groups had been running for several years. Today, she says there are more than 24 such groups on Facebook, boasting several thousands of members. McIlvaine Newsad says the CannaMom movement demonstrates something that has previously gone unspoken. Women and mothers are using cannabis in everyday life, including products such as fizzy drinks, edibles, tinctures, as well as CBD products. U.S.-based Latrice Thomas, who is 40, says she combines cannabis and parenting her 3 children the same way people do with wine. After a long day with the kids, especially during the pandemic, when I was home with all 3 of my babies all day, once they were asleep, I was running a bath, dropping some cannabis bath salts in my bath, and vaping cannabis, says Thomas, who has 2 teenagers and a toddler. Especially as a Black mother, Thomas says amid racially charged social unrest affecting Black communities, cannabis helped her manage anxiety, not just as a Black woman, but as a mother of Black children. 53-year-old Barinder Razode also felt her stress ratchet up during the pandemic. With 3 children, aged 28, 25, and 17, the Vancouver, British Columbia-based mother struggled to parent amid COVID-19, especially while trying to explain to her youngest child what was going on. You're dealing with a teenager whose world has got turned upside down, and you're confined in a small space altogether for more hours than anybody should be, says Razode, a former municipal politician turned CEO of medical cannabis business incubator GrowTech Labs. To help calm her frayed nerves, she used cannabis, which is legal in Canada. My cannabis consumption not only helped ease my own anxiety about the situation, but made me a more patient parent. Many CannaMoms, including Razode, Thomas, and Brand, all microdose cannabis, using the plant or its extracts in small doses. The big misconception is that we just smoke to get blazing high, laughs Thomas, who owns Relief Health Cannabis Dispensary in Portland, Oregon, and runs the blog Living Unapologetically. She said, well, no, I'm still a mom. I still have to function. I still run a business. I still have to do pickups and drop-offs and attend practices, in reference to, people assuming that if you're a mom and you smoke weed, you're just getting blazed. And she's saying, no, we microdose. We do it responsibly. So Brand agrees. If I'm parenting, I only want a small enough dose where it shifts my perspective a little bit. All the thoughts, to-do lists, and all of the mom brain stuff slows down enough that I can be more present, more patient, more creative with my kids. It sounds magical. She believes microdosing is low risk. And I can totally relate to that. I mean, I remember when the kids were little and, you're trying to stay in the moment with them and be engaged in what they're doing. Part of it is like, I don't really want to color in a coloring book. I know my kid wants me to. I could find some other things I need to do. I've got 50 things running through my brain. And I could very much see how microdosing could allow you to be in that moment.
Do you wish you would have had that back when microdosing back when our kids were little?
Yeah, I do.
Young.
But as these women say, I think it would have been something that you'd keep very private.
Back then or now?
No, even now. So yeah, let me go on. So stigma still stalks many discussions about cannabis use, and it's especially acute for mothers who admit to using cannabis. Though Brand says she hasn't experienced stigma herself, she has seen it in action. Other CannaMoms I know on social media have received comments like, you're a bad mom, you're setting a bad example for your kids, you're glorifying drug use, it's pathetic that you have to be high to parent, and even, your kids should be taken from you, she says. There are also CannaMoms out there whose kids have missed out on real-life play dates and friendships because other kids' parents' stigmas against cannabis.
That's fucked up.
But I think that still exists.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
And so if I understood cannabis when our kids were young like I do now, I would very much find that microdosing would have greatly benefited me because I run on like go all the time. And so sometimes it is hard for me to get in the moment. And I think that could have helped me just slow down.
Right.
And that it's okay just to slow down, For Thomas, as a suburban mom and a Black woman particularly, she's careful about who she tells about her cannabis use. Even as she feels judgment as unfair and hypocritical, she said, you can have wine drinking moms, meetings for ladies, night at bars, you can have play dates at a house and there's alcohol available while kids are around. If I were to be there and be like, hey, let's have a smoke sesh, everyone would be like, oh, there's kids in the house. And that's true, right? McIlvaine Newsad adds, it is socially acceptable for a mom to say, mommy needs a glass of wine, but still not socially acceptable to say, mommy needs to microdose. So that will come with time, right? McIlvaine Newsad also believes the persistent focus on the negative effects of cannabis is a political holdover from cannabis prohibition, rather than the product of a legitimate medical concern. As long as society at large and politicians in general continue to hold the belief that cannabis is bad, then those are the kinds of questions that science will ask, she stresses. Different communities have different levels of stigma around parents using cannabis, even in countries and states in which cannabis is legalized. McIlvaine Newsad says the social acceptability of mothers using cannabis depends on where a mom is located. The legality of cannabis plays an obvious role in its social acceptability, though even in places where it is legal, it can then depend on your socioeconomic status, on your educational status of the community you live in, and the political status. Regardless, as McIlvaine Newsad says, parents are continuing to use it. As an increasing number of U.S. states and countries across the globe make some steps toward adult cannabis legalization, the CannaMom movement seems poised to grow. Generational attitudes are beginning to shift across the board. She believes this generational easing has occurred at precisely the right time to serve the ever-increasing CannaMom movement. She also believes younger generations are less judgmental, since the CannaMom demographic is slightly younger, and she believes fluid views of millennials and Gen Zers will also help shake off some stigma. Lots and lots more women are coming out of the green closet, agrees Brand. People would be shocked by the diversity in ages, the diversity in race, and the diversity in occupation. There are quite a few stay-at-home moms who are consumers, and that's more than okay. I pray that we get to a place very soon where we can have CannaMom nights. So, work in progress,
Yeah.
right? And like she's saying, I think you're going to see it happen where maybe it's more of like a public topic in places where it's legalized. You're not going to see that conversation happen as publicly in a state that's still illegal. Even if it's just a medical state, I think that you still have stigmas and barriers that would be challenging.
That's what this show's all about. Stomp that stigma.
Stomp it.
Come on, moms out there. You drink if you have a glass of wine while your kids are play dates.
Why can't you have a hit off of a joint? It's
judge
the same,
judge not, yet ye be judged.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Because you might have 2 or 3 glasses of wine.
But even I mean, like if you're microdosing, I don't think that microdosing is this like a parallel to having 1 glass of wine, because if you're microdosing with an intention, you are using the plant medicinally.
100%.
You're it's not like alcohol where I want to get buzzed and I don't want to have to deal with this shit right now. Cannabis is more like it helps me calm. It helps ease my stress. It helps ease my anxiety, or it keeps me just feeling focused or maybe creative, and it does things that you can't put it on a side by side. It's not the same as alcohol.
100%.
And I think that when someone says microdosing helps me be a better parent, they're not saying that I want to like with alcohol we tend to say we want to go out with the girls and like forget everything and just be crazy and have fun and be silly and drink. It's different. Like you're saying I want to use this so that I can engage and be here. You're not using it to remove yourself from something. It's just a different mentality. It's a different intention, really.
Right.
But again, when the stigma is there and people aren't looking at it that way, they're like, "Oh, you're just using a drug." Well, no.
Tisk, tisk, tisk.
So live and learn.
That's it.
Yeah.
Colorado's got some new laws coming in 2022. One of them is perhaps the amount patients can purchase. Under the new rules, the state will limit the daily purchase of 2 ounces of flour and 8 grams of concentrate, such as wax and shatter, for medical cannabis patients. The limit dropping to 2 grams per day for patients aged 18 to 20. Another one was the new rules are required dispensaries to provide an educational pamphlet to customers buying concentrates while prohibiting the retailers from marketing to would-be customers younger than 21. They passed a bill back in June to which they by Jared Polis signed to concentrates were only allowed to go to a certain level. So and they think these new rules are going to help. I don't know. I think they're foolish with the concentrate thing. So. Bipartisan Wisconsin lawmakers unveil cannabis decriminalization bill. Man, Wisconsin, I've read some articles. Get your shit together, man. You're losing all those tax dollars. Let people home grow. You got great soil up there. Come on, Wisconsin. Jeez. Cannabis could be sold at D.C. Farmers Market under a new amendment unveiled by local activists. That'd be dope because you've heard me talk about that. Be able to grow your own and bring it to a farmer's market and sell it.
I thought in D.C. that you can't sell. I thought you can only like barter and trade.
Well, they're trying to get this to be a part of the bill, the new D.C. bill they're trying to pass. They're trying to add this on some activists.
And so you could use money to buy weed.
So, in like Washington, D.C., the only way you can get it from somebody is like, here's a T-shirt.
Right.
It's $50, and inside the T-shirt's a bag of weed worth $50, but you're paying $50 for the T-shirt.
But you can't pay for.
And
you can't outright pay for the cannabis.
No. But they're trying to get this with the new. Trying to get this under an amendment. So hopefully that happens because I think it's dope. You can fucking.
But outside of the cannabis, outside of this farmers market, then it would just be the regular rule of
for right now
barter.
until they're trying to pass a law in D.C. also. So here's a cool thing: bipartisan Pennsylvania senators announced medical cannabis home grow bill. Hell yeah! Oh, that's awesome to hear. Good for you, Pennsylvania. Now go fully wrecked too. Schumer, again in the news, wants to keep big boys out of cannabis industry and says legalization bill is passable. He wants to keep like big alcohol companies. You're already too late. He wants to keep big tobacco out of it too. Listen, Schumer, you ain't following the fucking news and everything that's going on with cannabis. The big boys are already in. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about that you want to keep them out. They're already in, dude. And that the money they're going to be spending lobbying once this goes federally legal, dude, just please, man, you make me fucking want to throw up. Police seized $500 million in illegal cannabis in a raid in Oregon. That is absolutely. I was looking at these pictures. This warehouse was ginormous, like 2-3 racks of drying cannabis across this warehouse. 500,000 pounds of illegal cannabis bust outside Medford, Oregon. That they estimated a street value of $500 million. Said the police.
Wow.
$500 million worth of cannabis. 500,000 pounds.
How established was that place? Like this isn't their first time growing.
No, absolutely not.
How much weed have they grown there?
Who knows? But man, that's a lot of weed. Okay, as Mr. Weedman always talks about buying weed off the streets. Listen, we've all been there. We've all done it. But now you need to be careful because they're finding fentanyl.
Yeah.
And people are overdosing over it because they're spraying fentanyl or whatever they're doing. So there was 40 drug overdoses due to fentanyl in Connecticut alone.
But you
and
know
then
what
I read in Vermont too, they're finding it, and Maine.
But how much you want to bet people are going to be like, see, you can die from cannabis because they won't read between.
Right. But at least they're finding that it's the fentanyl.
It's the fentanyl.
Right. So
why? What benefit is there to lacing cannabis?
People are fucking idiots.
But why are they? They use it in other drugs to like.
Well, that's heroin. They mix it.
Split
They
the
cut
drug.
it. Yeah,
right,
they cut
right.
it because it's
to
cheaper.
save money. Right.
Yeah.
Or to make more money.
Just be careful who you're buying your cannabis from, please, because I don't want any of you to fucking die. First and foremost. Second. Man, if you're fucking lacing people's cannabis with fucking fentanyl, you should fucking get your fucking shit fucking just done. Done. If you get caught and you murdered people for fucking lacing what they're thinking they're buying straight weed to smoke and enjoy and relax or whatever they use it for, you're fucked up in the head. That's all I got to say. That's fucking just, you should be blasted, man, and caught, you fuckers. That's just wrong. Sorry, that just pissed me off. Mississippi lawmakers unlikely to reach medical cannabis deal this year. Man, the fucking governor there wants some rules re-established in there that he didn't like and change shit around. Man, come on, Mississippi, do your fucking shit, man. Make it legal. Here's something. One of our local cannabis shops here in Illinois, it's one of the last of the independents, is selling their shop to a publicly traded weed giant for $55 million.
Dang.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Woo, a lot of money. Here's something crazy, and I was just talking to one of our listeners, DMing me about he was in Michigan buying some cannabis for Thanksgiving because he was heading over to Wisconsin, and he said it was like very limited selection. Well, I just read yesterday that $200 million worth of cannabis recall causes chaos in Michigan's cannabis industry, and I was DMing him back and forth about that. When the largest ever Michigan cannabis recall was issued on Wednesday, November 17th, Matt Immig's phone began to ring and customers were calling. Mig, who owns the M&A Agriculture, a comparable small 1,000-plant licensed cannabis grow facility in Lansing, uses Virdis Laboratories, the target of the recall, for all of his mandated safety testing. Consequently, every ounce of the 42 pounds of cannabis he sold to the 3 retail customers worth roughly $75,000 retail is on hold. It must now either be destroyed or retested. Who will pay for the additional testing and product loss still being sorted out? A lot of us in this are just mom and pop shops, said Mig. I have my life savings invested in this, trying to make it. I guess the one thing you can ask for in all of this is that, are you going to make these huge decisions that have ramifications that can destroy some people? Then it comes the right way. And Mig feels companies like his own are collateral damage and behind the scenes battle between powerful lab tests being referred by the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, MRA, with the little regard for the financial fallout that may crush industry players. Questions over the validative testing conducted by Virdis, a state-licensed cannabis safety lab with locations in Lansing and Bay City, resulted in an unspecified amount of cannabis. I always fuck that word up when I'm high. Say it for him, Mrs. Weedman.
Unspecified.
Unspecified. Thank you. Amount of cannabis being recalled late in the business day on November 17th. The MRA called tests conducted by Virdis inaccurate or unreliable. The MRA identified more than 400 retail locations that have in their inventory or have already sold some of the recalled cannabis. There's 500 dispensaries in Michigan, and 400 of them got recalls. Customers who have the recalled product are asked to return it to the retailer they purchased it from for proper disposal, according to the MRA notice. Consumers with weakened immune systems or lung disease are at the highest risk for the health-related incidents such as aspergillosis, which can impact lung function if these potentially harmful products are consumed. Almost immediately, retailers were left scrambling as customers parked for curbside pickup learned that products they purchased were now on hold, deemed unsafe for consumption. Any cannabis product tested by Veritas Labs between August 10th and November 16th that is not THC extract has been recalled. Oof, oof. Veritas in June told MLive it was on pace to test samples representing nearly 250,000 pounds of cannabis flower annually, about 70% of all cannabis sold. Jeez. Based on the average retail sales price for a pound of cannabis in October at $3,200, the recall affects more than $200 million in product. It's unclear how much of that is on retail shelves and how much has already been sold. As has become customary with recalls issued by the MRA, a few details are being released. Their license is currently active, Harn said Friday. At this time, we are still working with licenses to resolve testing issues. We can't comment further due to the pending investigation. The MRA has not identified any contaminated product or illnesses caused by recalled cannabis that may have already been used or smoked by customers. The MRA similarly refused to comment on what led to the contaminated product reaching customers in August as part of another unrelated recall. Nearly 2 months later, questions remain unanswered. Veritas Laboratories, founded in part by former Michigan State Police forensics employees, has faced disciplinary action for violations before. The company was fined $2,500 after the MRA determined it tested cannabis concentrates without proper approval between February 9th and February 19, 2020. The last recall is so large that it has impacted nearly every facet of the market, from growers large and small to retail stores and the customers who purchased it. I'm going to say one thing. Here come the caregivers. Mm-hmm. Saving the day. We may not know the long-term effects of 3, 6, or 12 months as some companies struggle to recoup their losses and eventually succumb to market forces. And Rick Thompson, a Michigan cannabis legalization pioneer and director of the Michigan chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, NORML, I know that all the companies are required to carry insurance for just such emergencies. Hopefully all the players will be made whole by insurance payments so that no one loses their business. I am, however, skeptical that it will happen. Thompson said the recall raises questions about the effectiveness of the state's safety system. Clearly, this is a problem for 3 months, possibly even longer, and has been undetected until apparently some kind of report from some triggered their attention, Thompson said. I am curious to know how this major error slides past their notices for so long. Veritas issued a formal statement disagreeing with the MRA's decision and said that it stands by its test results. I don't know a lot beyond what is in the recall itself, but I think there is some information you can gather from what is implied by it, said Lev Skipik-Brindorf, research scientist and co-founder of PSI Labs, a competitor of Veritas. Microbial testing is intended to detect potential harm from mold, yeast, and pathogens like E. coli or Aspergillus. Spivak Brinford said the MRA issued new microbiology testing requirements that were supposed to be adopted by August 10th, which marks the date the first recall batches of cannabis were tested by Veritas. Michigan Cannabis Safety Labs have been battling over which of the two microbial testing methods to use. PSI Labs have been pushing for uniformity of the processing using a method called plating, which involves observing cannabis samples over about 72 hours to detect any biological growth. Previously, labs like PSI were using a quicker method known as polymerase chain reaction, or PCR testing, which we've talked about before, which takes about 24 hours or less to conduct, but the Spivak, Binford, and other claims it's insufficient. So, let's see here. Among those who are scrambling is a MIG who has been attempting to arrange sample pickups from his customers for retest. Who's paying for those costs is yet to be determined by MIG experts. He'll foot the bill, whether by paying directly for retesting or later discounting customers to compensate them should they pay the upfront cost of retesting. I'm just trying to help any way I can, just to try to keep the relationship with the dispensary, he said. I'm, for the lack of better term, my pants over here because that's my lifeline, you know. If the dispensary is like, man, you use Veritas and this is too much of a headache and I don't want to work with you anymore, I get myself in real trouble. So some fucked up shit. What's going on? Caregivers, unite.
That's
Wonder
right.
Twin Powers, activate. Save the day. Save the day. And Governor, let those caregivers be able to sell dispensaries right now, and they'll save the Michigan fucking cannabis industry. $200 million worth of cannabis going down the drain. Man, what the fuck? Who fucked up on that? Here's another fuck up. Connecticut man found asleep in school bus busted with 11 pounds of cannabis, police say.
Wait, he had the cannabis in the school bus?
In the fucking school bus. What a fuck up. A Connecticut man who was found asleep inside a school bus
little kids?
who was allegedly busted more than 11 pounds of cannabis. New Haven County resident Brendan O'Connor, age 55 of Milford, was arrested shortly after 5 a.m. on Friday, November 19th, after employees of the local school bus company arrived for work to find a suspicious vehicle parked in the bus yard. Oh, okay, said the Orange Police Department. Officers checked the area for the driver and found O'Connor asleep inside one of the school buses, police said. O'Connor was taken into custody and his car was seized for the investigation as there was a large bag of cannabis inside, said police. O'Connor was held on $25,000 bond and was arraigned in Superior Court in Derby this morning for operating a drug factory, sale of more than 1 kilogram of cannabis, and criminal trespassing. Good luck, Mr. O'Connor. You fuck up. That was stupid of you. We make a lot of edibles, but we haven't made this.
We haven't.
Tell everybody about it.
I don't know if anybody knows. I'm sure a lot of you know, and I'm sure a lot of you don't. You can make CannaSugar. Yes, dry, crystallized sugar you can infuse with cannabis. So we've got CannaSugar, cannabis sugar, weed sugar, sugar infused with the magic, mystical properties of cannabis. Ooh. Yeah, so let's let our inner stoner have some game time, shall we? With no delay, let's talk about how to make the sweet much sweeter with weed sugar. So we're going to go through a little recipe and some do's and don'ts. So for anyone who makes edibles, we've talked about before how to make butters and tinctures and oils and the magic butter machine and doing stuff the old school way in a crock pot or on a burner on your stove. There's so many ways to get creative in the kitchen. If you don't like baked goods, you can make a butter and use it when you make dinner. We've done that before. That's quite fun. Your whole meal has this kind of slight hint of like a skunky weed taste. It's really good. It's kind of a nutty taste.
And the high is amazing.
Like in rich foods, it's quite yummy. So anyway, and for those of us that like sugar, you might want to have some options on how to incorporate. I mean, even think about this. You could have like a cup of coffee. If you take sugar in your coffee, you could have weed coffee.
Hell yeah.
That'd be super cool. So this is the ingredients that you'll need and the equipment that you'll need to make CannaSugar. You can start with 3 grams of cannabis, 1 cup of grain alcohol, 1 cup of white sugar, cheesecloth, and a glass jar for storage. So to infuse the sugar, before you do anything, you must decarboxylate your cannabis. When you're making edibles, you need to make sure that your THC is available. This happens through decarboxylation. It's a process which converts THCA into THC using heat. All you need to do is grind up your weed and then spread it evenly on a baking sheet.
Hold on, can I say something? You don't even. Well, sometimes you don't need to grind it, but depending on this recipe though. But sometimes I leave the buds whole when I decarb.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I
because
think
the magic butter machine has a grinder in there and it grinds it up.
I would grind it because I think you get like a more balanced decarboxylation. Because if you have a tight bud, that middle might not heat as well as the outsides.
Right.
So chop it up a little bit.
Well, I ain't fucking grinding up 2.5 ounces when I cook my butter, so it's going in whole.
All right. Well, don't be lazy like Mr. Weedman. Grind the shit up or put it on a chopping board with a knife and just chop like you're chopping up parsley, right? Throw it on a baking sheet. I suggest putting parchment paper down. If you don't have parchment paper, then like a nonstick sheet because the resin from the weed is a little sticky. Anyway, then you place it in the oven and you bake it for 30 to 45 minutes at about 220 degrees. So it's a really low heat. You're just drying it out and activating the THC. While you're baking it, you want to check it every 10 to 12 minutes to make sure that your weed is not getting scorched. Now you're going to take, this is step number 1. It's the grain alcohol process.
Real quick though, after you decarb your weed, you have to let it cool.
Yes.
Don't do what you do hot. You have to let it get cool. Okay?
So, yeah. So
that's
set it off to the side. Let it cool.
Let it cool.
All right. Now take your ground decarboxylated cannabis and pour it into your jar. Think like a big mason jar, right? Cover the weed with grain alcohol and close the jar. Let it sit for around 30 minutes, shaking every 5 minutes or so. Let me just tell you, there's canna butter, there's make weed candy, cannabis candy. I mean, you can name all different groups on like social media, especially Facebook. There's all sorts of groups out there.
Reddit's great too.
And everybody, there's just so many techniques and different people. I mean, there's people that get down to the nitty gritty technical. I mean, you'd think these people are scientists, the way that they talk about how they make their butters and their compounds and things. It's crazy. So there's a lot of people out there that love to give you a lot of opinions, just like anything else. So when I say grain alcohol process, 30 minutes, weed, alcohol in a jar, shake it up every 5 minutes, someone else will argue and say you got to do it for 2 hours. Someone else will argue and say you have to do it overnight. You look up and can create, this is just like a basic recipe. So you can get as crazy from here as you want. All right. So now you've let it sit for we'll say at least 30 minutes, shaking it every 5 minutes or so. Now you need to strain it. So pour the liquids through the cheesecloth that you had, keeping a bowl underneath to catch the liquid. Once you're done, you can discard the cannabis. And I will tell you, when we make any sort of butter or whatever, squeeze the heck out of that. That cheesecloth is strong. It's gonna be filled with those 2 ounces of cannabis. Squeeze
even
it.
suck on it after, like I
No,
do one time.
It's grain alcohol. No, not with this.
Do a shot of it.
No, if you were making butter, I'd say, yeah, lick the cheesecloth, but don't listen to Mr. Weedman right now. That's a bad idea. That will be really strong, and grain alcohol will burn
your
you.
next morning would suck.
Your next minute would suck.
That too.
You'd be on the floor. Don't listen to him. So squeeze out the cheesecloth so you get all the liquid out of there. Now, step 3, you're going to add sugar. So now you're going to pour your crystallized white sugar into the bowl with your strained alcohol, and you're going to stir it together. And then you're going to pour that into a glass baking dish. So your alcohol sugar mixture goes into a glass baking dish, and now you're going to bake that. You're going to put that dish back in the oven at 200 degrees, stirring it regularly. When the alcohol has evaporated, remove it from the oven. This recipe does not give you a time frame. I don't know if alcohol dries fast. So I don't know. Can you do that in a gas oven with grain alcohol? I would look into that.
Yeah.
You might want to make sure that you have an electric oven.
Yeah.
Because you're putting grain alcohol in the oven. So this is a really loose recipe.
Yeah. As long as the grain alcohol doesn't touch the flame, you'd be fine.
I don't know. I don't know.
Read up on it though.
Yeah, just read. So once it's evaporated, then you're removing that from the oven, and then you just store it. So now you have to cool it off, obviously, before you store it. It says that there could be large chunks. Just break them up and store the infused sugar in an airtight container. And then don't take too much, right? The number one mistake people make with any kind of edible, now this is technically an edible, is not being patient and then double dosing. Like, let your body know what
only
it's had.
1 scoop of sugar in your coffee, not 2. 1 lump, not 2.
Yeah. Here, with your THC infused sugar, start out by taking a half teaspoon.
Ooh.
Yeah. The potency of your sugar will depend on the potency of your cannabis that you used. Half a teaspoon will be good to get you started, and you can go from there. Side note, crack a window. When you're decarboxylating your weed, and also when you have the sugar in the oven, crack your windows. It'll prevent you from feeling like a total slacker if your mom decides to stop by.
We've been high when we
Yeah.
decarbed. Oh my God, yeah. We've been high.
It gets pretty stinky.
It smells great.
And don't forget to decarboxylate. You cannot forget to do that skip, and then just enjoy your wheat sugar. You can use
We're gonna
it to
try
bake.
that. I got a jar full of weed that I was gonna push to edibles, so we're gonna try that.
We'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. International news: Germany set to legalize cannabis nationwide after major parties reach an agreement.
Wow.
That's huge. They
That's
could be
really big.
with their next door neighbor, Luxembourg, and do it together. They will not be number 1, Germany. They won't be number 2 because Uruguay and Canada. Luxembourg is almost there, and Germany might be number 4. So we'll see if that happens. Go, Germany. All the parties need to file this together, get it all set in stone, and let's go, Germany. Something crazy. Amazon is allegedly being used to smuggle cannabis into India. And Amazon has landed in trouble in India. The police in the state of Madhya Pradesh yesterday, November 15th, summoned local executives of the retail giant following allegations that the platform was being used to smuggle cannabis. News agency reported. The incident came into the light after two persons were arrested on November 14th with 20 kilograms of contraband item. The duo was using Amazon India's platform to order and smuggle it across various Indian states, the police have alleged. While cannabis is banned in India on Amazon, it was reportedly being sold as dry steve leaves, a natural food sweetener. The police claim that around 1,000 kilograms of cannabis worth $148,000 have been sold on the e-commerce platform. The international companies have power of artificial intelligence, so it's a big thing happening on their platform. Manjot Singh, a senior police officer, told Reuters. There's involvement of Amazon at many levels in the cannabis delivery, from providing logistical support to delivery. An Amazon spokesperson told Reuters that the company was investigating it and if there was not any compliance by a seller. We do not allow the listing and sale of products, not yet they don't, which are prohibited under the law to be sold in India, the company statement said, adding that it will cooperate with authorities. Amazon India has more than 1 million small and mid-sized businesses working within the country. These include sellers, delivery and logistic partners, neighborhood stores, enterprises, developers, content creators, and authors. Meanwhile, the autonomous traders body, the Confederation of All India Traders, has demanded the Narcotics Control Bureau probe Amazon. Might be in a little trouble there. Wedding cake.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good wedding cake. Our wedding cake was fucking fantabulous, and I remember that 26 years ago.
It was really good.
Really good. You were reading an article about some groom made a fucking decision at his wedding.
Yeah, you did. This groom defends his decision to swap wedding cake for weed and smoke a blunt instead. So this groom went viral after sharing a video of him and his bride smoking weed on their wedding day, and he has defended their decision to enjoy a blunt together. J.C. Cartier posted a clip to Twitter under his handle where it quickly gained traction. At the time of writing this article, the video had been viewed 3.1 million times, earning over 50,000 retweets and more than 150,000 likes in the process. The footage centers on JC and his new bride, Sasha, sitting outside together underneath a floral arrangement, sharing their first smoke together as husband and wife. JC can be seen lighting the blunt at the beginning of the clip before blowing smoke into Sasha's mouth, while his bride only too happy to accept. The couple share a warm embrace before stopping to exhale the smoke. Sasha then takes a turn on the blunt, blowing smoke toward her new husband as the footage switches from color to black and white. JC posted the clip to Twitter alongside the caption, "Some people eat wedding cake, we smoke it." The video proved surprisingly divisive. Some were enamored by the happy couple, receiving comments like, "Aw, y'all are so darn cute," and "I want what they got." The video was not without its critics, though. One comment branded it a clear indicator of how far we've fallen as a society,
Tell that person to shut up.
adding that nothing is sacred anymore. Another asked, "So you both going to have lung issues together?" "Yeah." "This is beautiful, but not cool." Others sought to defend the couple, pointing out some people drink alcohol at weddings, some like to smoke. No different. JC told Newsweek, "We don't eat sweets, and I love the weed strain wedding cake. My wife had the idea to light the cake in a different way." A relatively new strain of marijuana, wedding cake, grabbed the headlines at the 2018 Cannabis Wedding Expo, with Westwood describing it as a sinfully delicious indica, fit for the after-party, if not the nuptials themselves. JC said they smoked the blunt after the ceremony and before the reception, describing it as having a pretty good taste and being both smooth and soothing. "It was something me and my wife did for memories and because it was unique to us," he said. "We just do what we want to, and it felt like a good idea." JC said his wife Sasha doesn't smoke, but he does, and she did this for me. She's that kind of lady, and our love is that selfless, he added. "There was cake, we just didn't cut the cake like a traditional wedding. My wife and I really don't like cake," he said. Speaking to The Guardian in 2019, Philip Wolf, the chief executive of the Cannabis Wedding Expo, highlighted how the combination of weed and weddings could represent a perfect marriage for the two industries. Unconventional weddings are all the rage right now. Whether it's getting married in a Busch beer-themed dress or a couple tying the knot in a Subway-themed ceremony reflecting the fact that they met in one of the chain restaurants. Ultimately, as JC said, it's about people doing what works for them. Cute.
Yeah,
I think that's cute. And you know what? It works for them. Our brother-in-law.
His wedding was a weed wedding.
It was a weed wedding.
A weed 3-day wedding.
Yeah.
I have never not gone to a wedding. Maybe one or two but every other wedding I've gone to, I've smoked. Or we've brought edibles to a lot of weddings.
But I mean, it's not the centerpiece. Like
no,
that, right?
but
that's different.
Should
it's
start
new.
being. I think it's awesome.
I'm sure you'll see it more and more. I have actually heard that people have had infused foods at their weddings, or they've had like a cannabis bar. Like people have like candy bars at their weddings, or the donut wall. People have had like cannabis walls.
Giving out out there that's getting married
edibles and
soon.
Things. So,
listen to Mrs. Weed,
kind
man.
of fun.
Have a donut wall with weed and
or
donuts.
I've heard people have had like a bud tender at their wedding, and they have like
awesome.
a little like a bud bar.
Yeah, should be.
You go over and get a smoke.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool.
The husband of True Leaf CEO sentenced to 3 years in prison for corruption. After being convicted in August on corruption charges, John J.T. Burnett was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison and fined $1.25 million last week, the Tallahassee Democrat reports. The Florida businessman who is married to True Leaf CEO Kim Rivers was convicted of conducting a long-time bribery scheme with the former mayor and city commissioner Scott Maddox and his business partner Paige Carter Smith. Additionally, prosecutors said Burnett used his power and wealth to corrupt the political process. During the investigation, Burnett told undercover agents that he had influenced Florida House Rep Hazley Berger to insert language into Florida's medical cannabis bill containing a controversial barrier to entry that would benefit both Burnett and the Berger's family, federal prosecutors said. You're a rat. The barrier to entry was a rule requiring nurseries to be in business for 30 years before they could apply for medical cannabis licenses.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Which locked out many black-owned and other small nurseries from participating in the Florida's lucrative medical cannabis industry. Prosecutors had asked for 8 years due to the seriousness of the charges, according to the report. Man, that's fucked up. I read that law, too, a long time ago about Florida, and you had to be in business as a nursery for so long. Some crap there. Weed lover and supporter Sean Paul says most dispensary cannabis tastes like cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that, but that's your taste. And he's looking to start his own cannabis company and make sure the cannabis industry has access to good smoke and edibles. Well, go Sean Paul. I used to be a big wrestler watcher when I was younger, when I was like young and probably into my teens, but not so much anymore. But there's some former wrestlers here that from the WCW and WWF that are advocating for cannabis. One is Jesse Body Ventura. And since then, since wrestling times to now, he's been fully committed to the cause of full nationwide cannabis legalization. He began his crusade on behalf of the fight to legalize cannabis after watching a friend helplessly suffer from seizures until they made the trip to Colorado to purchase products that ended them once and for all. Since then, he's gone as far as naming his newest book, Jesse Ventura's Marijuana Manifesto. Good, Jesse the Body. RVD, Rob Van Dam. Wrestling aficionados remember Rob Van Dam as the Whole Damn Show. Now RVD is known as one of the most vocal and longest-standing cannabis activists coming from the world of professional wrestling. Good for him. The Godfather, Papa Shango. Many Attitude-era WWE fans will recall the Godfather catchphrase, "Pimpin' ain't easy," displayed prominently on his ring attire, along with a memorable Brawl for All match, which was just highlighted in a recent episode of Vice Dark Side of the Ring series. What fans don't know is the long path that took the Godfather, his real name is Charles Wright, to reach the pinnacle of wrestling industry. Injuries, painkillers, and alcohol threatened everything he was working for until he tried cannabis for the first time at age 27. Wright claimed that it has made his knees feel better, his back feel better, and opened up his eyes to the benefits it possesses. The impact it's had on his career was so strong, he claims that it saved his life. And then there's Val Venus, one of the edgiest superstars who helped make an attitude era for WWE must-see TV for guys of certain age. Val Venus now goes by the moniker Captain Cannabis. It's somewhat appropriate name for wrestling heel, and seeing as he is now owns and operates the Health for Life dispensaries in Arizona, it makes complete sense that he ditched the old WWE name for this one, Captain Cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
It's K and K. It's not shocking that Venus made a leap into the world of cannabis, given that cannabis is what he attributes to helping him kick his painkiller habit. His Health for Life dispensaries franchises are forced to be reckoned with in Arizona's market, and he currently has 4 that are open for business. So good for wrestling and good for the wrestlers, and realizing that cannabis is all you need, and starting businesses and writing books and supporting of cannabis. So, well, everyone, that is the end, and Mrs. Weeman and I are done. I'm going to smoke some more and eat an edible.
Yeah.
Before we go watch Dexter, New Blood.
Yeah.
Episode 3.
He's back.
He's back. But before we go, I want to say to everybody, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not around the world, Mr. Weedman is thankful for you. For you, that when we started this with Paulie, T, Shawty, and Dovboy and Mr. Weedman, I didn't know where this was going. And you around the world are the ones why I keep on doing this every day. So thank you. I thank you. I thank you for the DMs. I thank you for the emails. I thank you for listening. I thank you for just sending me funny shit and just making me laugh and sending me pictures around the world. I am thankful for all of you who listen to us. Miss Weedman, you got anything to say?
I second that. Everything. It's been fun. I came on board with Mr. Weedman due to coronavirus and being stuck home and not being able to have people in the house, and 1 week turned into 2 and 2 turned into 50. Right?
And now we're at
60.
Yeah. You started episode 15.
Yeah.
And now we're at
it's
episode
been a while,
73.
but I really enjoy it. And I really do love sharing and helping to stomp the stigma. I just think it's so important. And I continue to learn. And my continuing to learn helps you learn, hopefully. So share with us, write to us. If there's topics you'd like us to try to learn more about and share with our audience, we are happy to hear. But thank you. Thanks for coming back for more and more. And thank you for listening.
And last but not least, Mrs. Weedman, I'm thankful for you.
Oh, Mr. Weedman, I'm thankful for you too.
Hey, everybody, check us out on Weedman 420 Chronicles on Instagram, Weedman 420 Pod on Twitter. Dovboy handles the Twitter account, so if he doesn't get back to you, reach out to me on one of the other platforms. I'll let him know. Also, Weedman420 Chronicles at gmail.com. And then also TikTok. I got some new peeps on TikTok. Thanks for all the messages out there. Met a new friend from Tampa. He sent me him and his sister enjoy the show together. I love it. So thanks for my new TikTok family and writing me and making me laugh. I appreciate everything out there. And thanks for listening, everybody around the world. We love you all. Peace be with you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.